Okay, so looks like I'm recording this, and we'll just go through some of the ideas on this universe list. Now, I'm about a little bit more than halfway through my universe list now, and well, what I like to do at the end of the trading day is go through this whole universe list, just flip through the charts very quickly. You can see that I'm on Market Smith, and then I'm using the daily time frame. And the reason why is I want to see if there's anything pulling back uh, at this point in time to major levels of support or consolidating sideways, showing relative strength, something that might be buyable tomorrow or is in some kind of a pattern that's actionable. So I have a bunch of them already that I've added to this focus list. Looks like we've got 8 of them on there already. But I want to keep going with what we have so far, so that way you guys can see a little bit of the general process of what I do and why. So we'll just keep on flipping through them, and I'll stop at ones that seem interesting to me and share a little bit more about those. And if you're following this and you're here with me live in our Discord and you have a question, that just go ahead and let me know. Why did you just pass on that one, or anything like that. So far, we're more than th- uh, 2/3 of the way through the list, so it's probably going to be more slim pickings down here at this point, but we might find a couple of interesting ones. Like Tesla is a maybe. Like it's worth taking a closer look at. The reason why Tesla seems interesting to me is a couple of things. One, well, with the price action over here, it had broken back above its 50-day moving average, consolidated a little bit, found support at both the 50-day moving average as well as its uptrending 21-day exponential moving average, and today tested that level and closed at the high of the day. So that's the first thing that's interesting to me. The next thing that's interesting to me on this one is the relative strength line. You see how the relative strength line is strengthening over like really since down here, since the beginning of March, but it's more like even more recent than that. From the end of March, it's been strengthening quite a bit. And so I'm looking at that. Uh, Something that I consider not as much on Tesla, but something else that I've been looking at a bit more recently is the relative strength ratings. Now, this is an IBD rating where they're comparing uh, its performance versus all the other stocks in the universe. And they're doing this over a 12-month period, a 6-month period, and a 3-month period. And you can see that over 12 months, Tesla is one of the strongest stocks in the market, but over the past 6 and over the past 3, not as much. Kind of wish they had a 1 month RS rating. That would be cool to see, but they don't. It would be I would wager that it would be a bit higher than the 29 that it has over the past 3 months. But um, anyway, another thing that's interesting to me about Tesla right here is the industry group rank. You could see how last week the group rank was 89. This week the group rank is 77, so it's starting to improve. That has me interested in the idea as well, at least enough to put it onto the focus list. I'm just going to flip through a few more ideas relatively quickly. Like you can see that I don't spend a ton of time looking at each chart because unless if there's something that pops out at me or strikes me as okay, that this is ready or setting up, and then I want to pass on it, right? Like it's allowing that part of the brain that after you've spent years studying thousands upon thousands of charts and historical winners, you become more aware of the characteristics that um, can lead to potential breakouts, quick uh, moves to the upside. And those are the kinds of things that you want to focus on. And what I look for might be different than what you look at. That's okay. What you want to do is have copy the process or model the process versus just somebody else's that you happen to be watching here. If you're watching it live on Discord, or if you're watching the recording on YouTube, it's the process that you want, not the individual picks. Like that, that's less useful. Um, so we're kind of getting towards the bottom of the barrel over here, and I'm probably just want to get to the bottom of this. Let me see. There's not that many stocks left in this thing here. Yeah, most of them at this point that are trending below the 50-day moving average, weak relative strength lines. Those are just not ones that I'm interested in for short-term moves. That actually is this catches my attention, Mercado Libre, because it's tightening up right below its 50-day moving average. The thing that makes it a no for me right here, and I could be wrong. Like this could pop above its 50-day moving average tomorrow. Maybe it runs a little bit, maybe it doesn't. But the thing that makes me less interested in this idea versus some of the other ones that I've moved over to the focus list already is uh, this week industry group. Industry group rank is 143. Last week it was 160. That's a little bit better, but I like to stack as many things in my favor as possible for any trade. And so if I already have close to a dozen ideas that this isn't a problem, then why focus on an idea that has a potential major flaw, even though maybe it does uh, break out tomorrow? I guess we'll find out soon enough. Just continuing to flip through several of these ideas here. Something else that I'm looking forward to doing with YouTube and the YouTube channel is going to be live streaming. So if you're watching this and you're on YouTube, just I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and let me know if you are interested in seeing me live stream and what types of things you'd be interested in. Let me know what times of day work best for you, and let me know the time zone too, right? Because if you just say like, oh, like 10 a.m., like 10 a.m. Eastern is very different than 10 a.m. Pacific, or UK time or Australian time. That we have viewers from all over the world, and it's something that I feel very blessed and privileged to have. And there's not a whole lot of ideas at this point. So, well, why don't I? How close are we to the bottom of this? Yeah, let's switch over to the focus list. Like rather than looking for the last diamond in the rough, let's take a look at some of these ideas and see what some of them are here. Now, this first one, right? You might have remembered me saying earlier about the group rank and how that killed the idea in Mercado Libre. What's different about this first one here, Floor and Decor Holdings? Well, part of what's different is that it has some other things that are working strongly in its favor. The first thing here, the breakout to fresh all-time highs on heavy volume. this is a second stage consolidation according to MarketSmith. I personally, I think that the pattern recognition is a fantastic tool. It definitely helps save a lot of time, but I also enjoy going to a weekly chart and allowing my eye to tell me what stage we're in. So, like, for example, we came off the lows over here. I would count this as the first stage base, and I would look at this as second stage, but it didn't quite run past there. So I would look at this as second stage, and I would look at this as third stage. So I'm seeing this more as a third stage consolidation, and it broke out of this. Can't the drawing tools on here. Uh, eh, that's okay. An inverted head and shoulders pattern that it started to break out of and broke out on heavy weekly volume, and it's consolidating here near the highs. So what I would look to do is to potentially get into a trade like that. Another thing that I like about this idea as well is the relative strength line being near fresh highs as well. And to top that off, this consolidation area here happening on decreasing volume. Like that a lot. Here's another idea. 69 relative strength rating. That's not great, but we come down over to this, and actually, why don't I change the column layout to what I call Eagle, my system here, and some of what I liked about this with TradeWeb. Let me see where is it? TradeWeb over here is this, right? So it had a 69 relative strength rating. That's a 12-month rating, but 6 months 83, 3 months 90. So improving more recently. So I would give more weight to this than to this at this point. I like that it's tightening up over here near highs. I would want to see if it can break out of that pattern. I also want to see, like, well, what? So this is kind of like a 3 weeks tight or pennant. Yeah. If I'm taking that trade, I'm looking to do it on a very small scale. So small position size where I would look to be in that for a few days, a week or two, potentially. But I do like that very tight consolidation and the low volume right there. Continue moving on. Raghu, welcome to the live chat.
Hey, Mike.
So just running through some trade ideas. I went through the universe list earlier. I'm actually recording this and planning to throw it up on the YouTube channel. But just to give you a quick rundown, went through the whole universe list, found these 9 ideas that caught my attention, and was just reviewing them, pointing out different things that caught my attention and some ways that I'm thinking of trading them.
Uh, just a second, sorry.
Yeah, sure. So this is something that we're looking to do daily inside the Discord chat room, and it's something that Mara Elite members have access to as part of the membership. One of the things that I like here with AZEK company, ticker AZEK, is like you can't call this a double bottom. Like, even though it has the essence of a double bottom, a properly formed double bottom should have this leg undercut that leg, and that provides like that last shakeout before price moves into new high territory. One of the things that caught my eye about this is the rapidly increasing relative strength line and where price pulled back to. You see over here, price pulled back to, and so far has found support at prior resistance. So I would be looking for a trade somewhere in here. I would go down on the lower time frames, maybe the 2 hour time frame, and see how this is consolidating to see if it can break out. And another thing that I like about this too is this little consolidation here also having some major dry up in volume there. That's another sign of sellers uh, not dumping shares. Here's another one, Boots. Also consolidating and tightening up near fresh highs. The relative strength line is also, the relative strength line is kind of flat, but it's turning up. This too, the volume profile, lower and lower volume as it's consolidating near highs. I like the industry group rank being ranked 11, and it stayed in that top 20, right? Like it was 11 this week, 11 last week, 13 3 months ago. So it's been up there, and it's still tightening near its high. So that's something that interests me, catches my attention. Let's
Wow,
see.
like that's Boots, right? Who's buying shoes in this economy? Yeah, anime.
Somebody is, you know what? I was actually talking with my cousin earlier today. My cousin owns a business that lends money to small businesses, and he said that over the past year, his business has exploded due to COVID. And one of the things that, like, because there's so many small businesses that are now moving to sell things online, and he was telling me the story about a company that was selling handbags, right? So very similar, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
handbags to
Yes.
boots and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the ladies' business had exploded, and they needed more storage space, like for the warehouse. So they went to him to borrow the money, and uh, that maybe this perhaps this is a similar story, or like at least it's in that same vein, or where people are buying apparel, handbags, that kind of thing. Maybe it is,
And
maybe it isn't.
and I think it's online, so instead of going to shops, everybody's buying online. So yes, makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people
Hmm.
are buying from more places too than just Amazon. Like, I mean, I do most of my shopping on Amazon. I even bought my groceries today through Amazon Fresh. But yeah, like the the online retail marketplace has dramatically improved for sure. Um, Bungie, similar, consolidating near its highs, broke out on elevated volume. So this is the 50-day average volume, that red line right there. It broke out on average volume, but the volume is higher relative to the past, what is that, about 2 weeks. So that's something that catches my attention. Then seeing it pull back on lighter volume and then catching support on heavier volume is something else that just catches my eye and has me putting it onto this focus list, right? And so out of 300 or so stocks, finding 9 ideas that I consider high quality. Um, then there's this one over here, pulling back on very light volume. The industry group rank is improving, 50 to 46 last week to this week. Let's see what else. Not thrilled with the relative strength rating. Um, Also, the relative weakening of the relative strength line, but it's interesting how the relative strength line is flattening out from April 14th to now. So, like, really over the past week, it's starting to flatten out around here, just as price is flattening out. And price is flattening out right around prior resistance. So, it's getting some support over there. And that's something that has my attention, because if it could find support there and pop, then that could be an interesting trade for some uh, quick gains. Another
Yeah.
potentially quick
For
trade.
Bungie, uh, how do you enter a stock? Like it's been like continuously going up, right?
Well, this
From
is where and I'm glad you asked that question because it speaks to the intention of a trade, right? So if we're looking to get into a trade and we're looking to get in, let's say, like my bread and butter kind of trades over the past year were swing trades that would last anywhere from like a month to 3 months on average. Um, this is not that kind of setup,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not really in that kind of environment. The market has been very choppy, so this is an idea where I would look to be entering it and looking to entering it shorter term, where it Market Smith only has a six. Yeah, and that I'm not really a fan of uh, that kind of chart either. Like that, this is where I would do a little bit more work on TradingView,
Mm-hmm.
and show those. But well, what I'm seeing over here is this consolidation where I'd be looking for it to break out and maybe take gains. Like depending on how it breaks out, if I'm able to get a 1R move on this, take some of that off the table tomorrow or Friday, and then let the remaining of it run. Very very similar strategy and tactics to how our other brand new coach Stewart was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, spoke about this one already. Buckle, similar, very similar to the boot and what we were talking about with that consolidating near its highs. It's really like well, when it's consolidating near its highs, just like trending sideways, pulled back to the 50-day moving average, found support, relative strength still near its highs, and it's that dry up in volume that catches my attention so much because when it's doing that near the highs, it's a sign that sellers are not selling aggressively. So if it does break out, then it has a better chance of working, at least in the short term. We've been in a super choppy environment, and so breakouts have broken out, but then they'll pull right back in. So the strategy then is to start selling a little bit more aggressively into strength, and that has worked out. Like, for example, super short trade if you had it, right? Like if you got in on this breakout, or even if you were a little bit more faster on the trigger and you're getting in over here, right? So let's say you were super quick on the trigger, you saw this consolidating near the 50-day moving average, you bought that, right? That's a pretty ugly day right there. Like if you're buying it short term, like maybe you're holding it, maybe you're not, because it reversed, but it also closed right at the pivot. So you let it play out, and if you got in here with a stop below the 50-day moving average, that would have been a 2-3R trade in a couple of days. But you're selling aggressively into strength versus holding it for a longer move out like you might have done back here where when it was a different market environment. Now you're more in this awkward choppy zone, and it's been better to take profits a little bit quicker. So it's adjusting to and adapting to the market environment. Um, Seeing this is kind of similar to the other ones. Tight consolidation near the highs started to expand the volatility here is expanding a little bit, but what caught my attention was the support at the 21-day exponential moving average, that pink line on heavier volume there. Govind, welcome. Um, and here we have Tesla. Tesla's the last one that jumped out at me, and the reason why Tesla was I was talking about this earlier, I believe, but I'll review it again here. The thing uh, that interested me in Tesla and why it jumped out at me was how it jumped above its 50-day moving average, pulled back, but found support back at the 50-day moving average and also at the 21-day moving average and reversed, closing at its highs on the day over here. Um, and seeing the increasing relative strength, the and it's the conversation yesterday with Dr. Brett Steenbarger, like really like made me a little bit more aware of this aspect of the game, where seeing the rate of change in the relative strength as a variable to consider. Like, look at the rate of change just between uh, the end of March to now for Tesla, right? If we're going off of relative strength ratings, it looks terrible, right? When we're looking down here at the 12-month, 6-month, 3-month, oh, it's getting worse. We don't want to touch it. But if we're looking at it over 1 month, right? Like if Market Smith gave us a 1-month relative strength rating, would probably be up there. So that's why Tesla is one that caught my attention as well. And so I've got these 9
I
ideas.
think they have earnings next week, right? Tesla? Yes.
It does.
Yes.
So that's something else to factor in too. And for the intention of the trade, is it intended to be an intermediate term swing trade? Is it intended to be a long term trade? Is it intended to be a day trade or a short term swing where you're going to hold overnight for a few days? Setting intention for trades is something that is very important to do. And so that's why one of the points that I try to drive home is developing plans, developing the different skills of trading. And there's 8 different skills that we talk about. I talk about them uh, in the book, in the Mara Mindshift Guide, Trading Beliefs Workbook that we put out last November. It's what we talk about in the different boot camps for Mara Elite members, and it's what we do a lot of discussing in our brand new Discord chat room, where we're doing stuff like this every day. So that's about it for now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the chat. The chat is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got myself in there coaching. We've got Stuart, who's our newest coach, and we've got a lot of fantastic members, a great community. Like, we just opened up this Discord chat this week, and there's so much discussion in there, so many people sharing great ideas, not just like trade ideas, but thoughts about trading in general, books, pieces of education, everything. It's amazing. I love it. So hit me up in there. If you are watching this recording somewhere else, like if you're watching it on YouTube, drop comments into the comment section on YouTube. I read all of them, and I will get back to you. All right, everybody. That's
Thanks so
it.
much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike.